So it looks like we just got some changes when it comes to our everyday carry, our EDC, all of that good stuff when it comes to our boomsticks. So it looks like the House just passed HR1. It has been coined by President Trump as the big, beautiful bill. This is a win and a loss for people that are advocate for the Second Amendment and gun rights. I wanted to tell you why I think some gun tubers are a little wrong about an aspect of how this entire process went. But before we jump over and even talk about that, listen, we have had this long history when it comes to the National Firearms Act. Now, the National Firearms Act and the history of it overall is it was enacted in 1934. The purpose of it, it imposed a $200 tax, transfer tax, requires ATF registration, mandate background checks for items like short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns, silencers, suppressors, etc. And it's been in place since 1934. Side note, that same $200 tax was it was coined to be a barrier of entry to keep folks from being able to get their hands on those type of weapons. That price hasn't gone up since 1934. If we adjusted that for inflation, it will probably be over $2,000 or $3,000. But that's just a side note. So the GOP introduced a bill called HR1, coined Big Beautiful Bill by President Trump. And within that was a provision called the Short Act, as well as the Constitutional Hearing Protection Act. Both of those were designed to strip away the tracking, i.e. the registration part for the NFA, as well as the tax part and all that stuff. You no longer would need a requirement for registering and all that. So gun advocates really wanted this to be passed. They really wanted this to be the way ahead. And the first version of the bill that went through the House actually included the language. It passed the House, but when it got up to the Senate, and this is where I think gun tubers may have it a little bit wrong, the Senate parliamentarian says that the Senate parliamentarian is the rule keeper for the Senate. It has determined that to delist silencers, short barrel rifles, and other stuff like that, those items specifically do not fit within the budget reconciliation rules. It was removed. But the one thing that I don't think is the best way to script this is when I hear gun tubers say things like they need to fire the Senate parliamentarian, they need to get rid of her, she serves at the pleasure of the Senate majority leader. All those things are true, but the thing is the Senate never changes their rules. They've been the thing for nearly 2 centuries. That's just how they are. The House has a rules committee. They literally can change a rule for a particular bill whenever the hell they want. So because the Senate never changes their rule, they have enacted a person called the Senate parliamentarian to interpret if a bill passes or does not pass the rules that they have already set up. The Senate parliamentarian does things that both sides of the aisles don't like. Now, she was put there under Harriet Reid, the senator who used to be the Senate majority leader of the Democrats. He's from Nevada. He passed away years ago, but she's been there for several presidents. She was there under Trump 1.0. She was there under Obama. She was there under Biden. She's done rules. She's struck down parts of things that neither side have been big fans of. And so, you know, during Trump 1.0, the Republicans wanted to strip away certain parts of the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. And she said you couldn't do that. If you wanted to do it, you needed 60 votes. During Obama and during the Biden years, Democrats tried to pass provisions to make the federal minimum wage go from $7.25 to $15. She said you can't do that. You need 60 votes. So once again, she says that if you want to strip away delist silencer, short barrel rifles and shotguns from that act, you can't use budget reconciliation rules. You need 60 votes, but you said you can remove the tax. Gun tubers kind of set themselves on fire, wanted her fired, calling her all sorts of names. Listen, if that's your prerogative, then so be it. But here's why I think that could be short-sighted. The Senate doesn't have to listen to the Senate parliamentarian. The president of the Senate is the vice president. The person you should be mad at is the GOP. They run the Senate. She tells the rules. She gives them advice. They decide if they're going to follow it or not follow it. If you get rid of her for political reasons, it can be done once the Senate changes over to other people's hands. I think that could be short-sighted because they could simply pass another law, adding it back in, adding the tax back in, maybe even bumping it up to over 3,000. They could add more weapons to the list. So let's just say, for instance, they fired her. The next Senate parliamentarian said, yes, you're absolutely allowed to remove silencers, short barrel rifles, and shotguns from the NFA, and they do it. Next Congress rolls in and they add it back, but they add pistols and they add long guns and they add all sorts of stuff because the Senate parliamentarian said that it was good to go. So I don't think that short anger burst should be anything. But listen, they still passed it. This is happening in real time as I am recording this video. Speaker Johnson of the House is about to hold a press conference. They're very happy with the bill. You know what it did achieve? $0 on the NFA transfer tax. So now, literally, I'm in the process of getting myself a 300 blackout. It already has a threaded barrel. It's ready. It's, you know, absolutely ready for a can to be put on my 300 blackout that is on the way. And now when I go through, I still will have to do the background check part, and I'm still going to have to register, and I still get the tax stamp. But now I don't have to pay the $200. I take that as a win. I know that more was wanted from this overall from Guntubers, but I would just say pump your brakes because everything doesn't always work out as you see fit when you get rid of certain portions, because if you get rid of it for one, you get rid of it for all. But what do you think? I do agree that there are some gun advocate groups, gun right groups who've already filed lawsuits saying that the whole NFA Act should be gotten rid of. Short barrel rifles should no longer be tracked. The whole process should be finito. I actually agree with that. I guess I should have led with that. I agree with the goal of the act, just this arbitrary deadline of July 4th and the bill. If they didn't want to have 60 votes, they had to do what they had to do. But I take this as an everyday carry, a gun rights prepared citizen bill, because now I have all sorts of weapons that I'm just kind of like, do I want to add? Do I want to add things that required a tax stamp and a payment in the past? And maybe I will do those things now. Comment down below if you agree or disagree or want it more, very upset about it. Let me know. Am I off? Am I wrong? The politics part of it, I'll leave that up to you guys. But for me, I don't want too much power in either one of these parties' hands because I don't particularly think they care about us. But what do I know? First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.